Hey friends, Tony Howard here. A T-square is a special configuration of planets in the birth chart that can describe intense energies that we're asked to channel as we come to terms with often conflicting drives within ourselves. Today, let's talk about what a T-square is and how you can start working with it if you have one yourself. If you're brand new to astrology, we're going into some complicated territory today, but you can rewind and rewatch this video if you need to. Ideally, you already understand planet signs and houses somewhat and have also been introduced to the concept of aspects. If not, hit the books or webinars and jump back in this video when you're ready. A T-square is made up of at least 3 planets in aspect to each other. 2 of the planets are in an opposition, so they're in opposite signs from each other, or they're opposite by degree. The 3rd planet will be square the other 2. You can have more than 3 planets in a T-square, adding to the complexity and intensity if you have any conjunctions at any of the 3 T-square degrees. A T-square includes 2 squares, and squares are aspects of tension, so just doing some simple math, a T-square has double the tension. But T-squares correlate with creative tension because when we're under pressure or constant stress or agitation, we tend to try to do something about it. That's why people with T-squares are often some of the most productive and even successful people out there. Depending on where the T-square is in your chart and the houses that are impacted, you might find that success in work or career, but also look for the gifts of your T-square in your relationships, your friendships, or with your children, or even in your efforts to create a fulfilling home environment. The tension in a square asks us to act. Sometimes we roll up our sleeves and tackle a problem successfully, but at other times, the weight of that pressure brings us down. So it's pretty common for T-square folks to experience these kinds of up and down moments. The thing is, a T-square is an aspect pattern that keeps on giving, and even if you're finding yourself defeated in the moment, you'll surely get another chance to try again later. In fact, it can feel like life is demanding that. This is why with time, T-square folks often produce great works, and in the case of playwright Lorraine Hansberry, even early in life. Hansberry's successful and groundbreaking play, A Raisin in the Sun, was released in March of 1959, just as she was beginning her first Saturn return, and this also happened to trigger one of her T-squares. This signaled the start of a cycle in her life when she had the chance to unlock her T-square potential and wrestle with the necessary process of integration that's the promise of any T-square. The planet or planets that are squaring those in opposition are sometimes called the focal planets. In the case of Hansberry, there are 2 planets in that position, Mars and Uranus, because they're both conjunct. In a wonderful display of that conjunction, which was in the sign Aries, Hansberry broke new ground, bursting onto the scene first on Broadway and then in Hollywood with a production featuring a nearly all-black cast and a story in which Black people saw their own fullness and human experience portrayed in this way for the first time on the stage and screen. This empowered but also ignited important discussions among its audience members, many of whom were profoundly moved by the experience, even as others offered criticisms. Mars in Aries ignites and instigates, especially when conjunct Uranus, and Hansberry's work sparked important discussions, but it also opened doors that had been previously closed, liberating vital energy that had been blocked from expression in the collective. So how can you work with your T-square? To start, some astrologers pay special attention to what I referred to earlier, the focal planet. This is the planet that squares the other 2 that are in opposition. This planet's thought to receive and react to the push and pull dynamic of the opposition. It's as if the focal planet gets energized by that relationship, and sometimes exerts a powerful influence in a way that can even dominate the chart as a whole. With focus and effort, expressing our focal planet can lead to developing a talent or producing a great work, like I mentioned earlier. But this focal planet can also get a little bossy and dominate the conversation in ways that have us challenged to express the other 2 planets equally. We might feel more comfortable with one of the planets in our T-square and then try to deny or exclude one of the ones we're not comfortable with. But at the end of the day, the T-square asks that we become conscious of all of the planets in the T-square so that we're not acting out or stuck in a more negative expression of that energy. So one pro tip is to start by getting to know your focal planet well. Learn to recognize when it's expressing positively or negatively, and when it's running the show versus working in concert with the others. So it makes sense to get to know each of the planets well and nudge them toward their highest expression while also seeking creative solutions to navigating that friction. Think about the signs involved and also consider how these planets could work together at best, or at the least, coexist in interesting ways. Creative thinking can be the secret to expressing some of the highest potential of your T-square and accessing the gifts that are so prominent in this aspect pattern. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's mini astro training. Take a moment and hit that like button for me, and also subscribe to our channel if you're not already, so you'll be notified when we post another video. If you'd like to learn more about T-squares and some of the other major aspect patterns like the yod, the grand trine, or the stellium, join me in our new course on aspect patterns, which starts August 18th. I'll be co-teaching with Karen Helmecker-Sonntag, who will present some of her awesome work studying yods over many years. Head over to astrologyuniversity.com/events to learn more and sign up. I hope to see some of you in class soon, and until next time, take good care.